As a natural bodybuilder, when and how should I train to failure? Absolute failure, technical failure, on every exercise, all sets, one set, last set. What are the prerequisites? Beginner, intermediate, and advanced. First, I have to state the obvious, which is not always obvious. Training to failure has nothing to do with natural or enhanced bodybuilders. There's a case for reps in reserve for naturals as well as enhanced. And there's also a case for training to failure for both naturals and enhanced bodybuilders. And it really comes down to a case-by-case basis when we're looking at the entire training program, the goal, and the individual. But what I will say is, enhanced bodybuilders, they can definitely get away with more poor training methods than a natural could. But progression as a whole, it comes down to balancing volume, frequency, and intensity. When that happens, that's when we make progress. But as to when you actually should train to failure, there's no one answer. It really depends on the entire program. And if anyone tells you there is an absolute answer to this question, as in you should always train to failure or you should never train to failure, they probably don't understand proper programming. As again, proper programming, it's all about managing all of these variables. But the most direct and honest answer is, the higher the training volume is, the lower the intensity must be. So if you're doing 20 to 30 sets of body part per week, in order to recover and progress, less sets should be taken to failure. Now, if volume's very low, and let's say you're doing less than 10 sets of muscle group per week, you're probably gonna need to take most of those sets, if not all of those sets, to complete muscular failure, to get the most out of your training. But now, one method is not better than the other, and all these variables need to be in place to make progress. But as a general rule of thumb, sets of 1 to 2 reps just shy of failure will produce significant results, but without the drawbacks of failure training. And in most cases, that's how I program the majority of my training. It allows for higher volume, more chances to stimulate muscle growth, and with less risk of more wear and tear. Now, as you become more advanced, your training volume and your training intensity need to be adjusted heavily as you become stronger. And this is where individual differences play a huge role, but really only at the advanced stages. If you're looking to build your base, 90% of your training should come to near failure, but not all out absolute failure, with most sets performed with 1 to 2 reps left in the tank. You should be training with sufficient volume, but not so much volume that you can't recover between sessions. How much does training split, volume, and periodization matter to a beginner compared to an intermediate or advanced lifter? What is the training split for novices to ensure maximum newbie gains and a smooth transition towards lifting in the long run? To the newbie, the split actually matters much less than you think. And most people start with that question. Pete, what split should I follow? And the answer to that question is, the split itself is just a productive way of organizing the training and the work that you're doing in the gym. The volume, the intensity, the sets, the reps, the exercises. Those are the things that actually produce the results. And the split itself, it's just a way to get the most out of that volume and training intensity. And at the beginner stage, these variables matter much less. Consistency and progressive overload over time are the two most important things. Because as a beginner, you don't require as great of a stimulus to produce those results. But as you become more advanced, extremely big stimuluses are required to produce any type of result. That's when training needs to become highly individual, to manage greater training stimulus while also managing fatigue. And periodization becomes much more important at this point. But the best split for a novice lifter to take him to intermediate and to the advanced stages is basic old school methods. That's heavy progressive weight, sufficient training volume, and progressive overload. The basics done over and over again. And as you become more advanced, we still follow these basic training methods, but adjust the training volume to match your intensity and recovery abilities while still continuing to drive progression. But here's the thing, nothing drastically changes from beginner to advanced. We just have to be hyper aware of the training effort, intensity, and recovery. The basics, they're always a part of that. And that's exactly why I created a system like the 5-day mass gain program, to take you from beginner or intermediate into the advanced stages as quickly as possible, using these basic methods over and over again. Instead of asking for a specific number, which you definitely can't answer, what long-term strategy should I use to find the optimal frequency, volume, and when I should train to failure for me? So you have 3 variables that most people talk about when it comes to training. Volume, or how many total sets you're performing, frequency, or how often you train a body part, and intensity, or how close to failure you take each set. And many people will come up with a formula for how you should apply all of these to get results. But what I want you to do is understand that it's not about a specific number of sets or how many reps in reserve you're training with. It's all about progression over time. Taking someone with a 225-pound bench and bringing him to a 315 bench. Taking someone who's curling the 20s and working up to strict form with the 60s or even 70s. That's what changes physiques. Now, there are definitely some methods that are better to achieve those goals than others. And many people will say things like, just do one set to all-out failure and keep adding weight to the bar. But that doesn't always result in the best progression over time, especially for most people. A method like that that's very limited, many people could stall on it. Now, how I want you to actually look at it is ask yourself, how many sets do I need to get those numbers moving? How close to failure do I need to take each set? Again, to get those numbers moving. Now, I can give you some guidelines, but just remember, it is highly individual. But most body parts, they'll likely need to be trained somewhere between 10 and 20 sets per week. And the intensity of each set, mostly 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. And now, once we've reached a place where both of these variables are adjusted so that progression is happening, that's where you've found the right volume and the right intensity for you. And as you become more advanced, understand that these variables will need to be changed to keep up with your strength and recovery abilities. But once you hit a place where you're consistently progressing, that's when you found your sweet spot for volume and intensity. And any other method, it's not going to be better. Ride out what you're doing and consistently make progress. That's how you find out how you should be training. What do you think about the programs in Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding? I did a video discussing what Arnold's training actually was like. And I spoke about the fact that if you look at all the magazines, if you look at all his books, anything he wrote back then, you'll see training routines, but those were actually his pre-contest training splits. Those were the routines that he did a few weeks out of the Mr. Olympia contest. They were high volume, 6 days per week, double split sessions, training body parts 2 to 3 times per week, again, AM and PM sessions. These are the routines that everyone loves to call overtraining, the ones that they always say you can't recover from. But what I always point out is, these programs, they weren't actually designed to build muscle. They weren't used in the off season to gain mass. They were used a few weeks outside of a bodybuilding contest to strip away fat and to enhance the physique. They were using them to get leaner and to peak for a contest. In the off season, these guys, they didn't train like that. They used 4 or 5 day basic mass gain splits. Torso and limbs was a big one. Upper and lower was used, chest and back, legs, and shoulders and arms. But the key was, whatever routine they did, it was spread over 4 or 5 days max. They all took sufficient rest, they all ate plenty of food, and that's how they grew muscle. And my advice is, if you're looking to gain mass using any of those methods, start out with less volume and add more rest days. I've used many variations of it myself, and I've always had the best results come when I trained no more than 5 days per week. All right guys, so let's get to the giveaway. Here are the rules. Everyone that subscribed on YouTube and on Instagram commented on a post as to why you follow me and shared that post with a friend. You're all automatically entered in the drawing, and prizes will be given to 5 people who entered. Now, this is a completely random drawing, and we added everyone's name to a wheel that we're gonna spin to find the winners. The first 4 names that we pick will win 1 free ebook of their choice. That includes my 5-day old school mass gain program, 4-day torso and limbs program, my old school arm training program, or my bodybuilding diet ebook and audiobook. And the last name drawn, they'll receive a full 3 months of online customized coaching with me. And that's something I've never given away before. Now, if you didn't win, as a thank you to all of you that entered, all of these programs can be purchased down below with a special discount code for 10% off. This week only, using the discount code 50K at checkout. But now, let's enter the drawing. All right, we got the wheel all set and ready to go. We're gonna pick 5 winners here. And a quick disclaimer, I used everybody's Instagram or YouTube handle, and some of your names I can't even pronounce. So if I get it wrong, we're just gonna flash it on the screen. But let's get to the drawing. So let's go with winner number 1. This again, for a free ebook of your choice. And winner number 1, we have Gavin Watkins 12. All right, let's spin it again for winner number 2, another free copy of an ebook. And we have Nick 98M. All right, spinning number 3, again for another free ebook of your choice. We have Shred to Dead. All right, we're gonna spin one more for another copy of the ebook. And another free copy of the ebook winner, Stefan Mativ. All right, and we're gonna do our final spin here for the grand prize, which is again, 3 months of customized online coaching here. We're gonna spin and we're gonna see who won that grand prize. And that is Renzo 2. Congratulations guys on all that won. What I want you to do now is anybody's name that was called, email me at peterkacharian@gmail.com and I'll get those programs and that online coaching set up for you guys.